Hello, lovely. I hope this finds you well. I know with it being day one, it might feel a little nerve-wracking. You might be feeling a little bit nervous and a bit curious as to whether you can manage to do 10 days. Um, I know that you can. My guess is you've probably done several day ones in the past and maybe stretched those to a week or even a 30-day stretch. But this time, I want you to think about this 10-day reset as an opportunity to perhaps think about things a little bit differently, not in the way that I think is often shared about giving up alcohol, which is count the days, just battle through with your willpower, um, shaming yourself into it, sharing your worst rock bottoms so that you're so ashamed of yourself that you never want to do it again. I don't I don't agree with those approaches. I don't particularly like them. And I think for older women, I think we've had enough beating ourselves up, and giving ourselves a hard time about what we're doing and the perceived failures that we have. So, this 10-day reset is about choosing love and choosing love for yourself. And I know it might seem a little bit stretchy at the minute, but I promise you, it is within you. It is easy for you to access, much easier than you think. And a lot of it is about allowing your shoulders just to drop and allowing love to make your decisions for you. Willpower can never be the answer because it's a finite resource. You can start out with all the willpower in the world, but it won't it won't last, and it's exhausting. Um, and I know what works instead is to change your life and change your mindset about alcohol so that you don't it's not required in your life anymore, because the life that you've created is so much nicer than the one that you've been living with alcohol. So I want you to meet yourself with compassion from now, from this very second. I know as a woman, you spend a huge amount of your time being loving and compassionate and kind to just about everybody on the planet. The neighbour's dog, the stray cat, somebody at work who's having a hard time, whatever it might be. It is really easy for you to tap into your depth of compassion and love for somebody else. But if I asked you to turn that on yourself when you're drinking, it can feel really, really difficult. But that's what I want you to do. For the next 10 days, I really want you to keep saying to yourself, what's the most loving thing I can do for myself right now? If you are at a trigger point, if you are feeling tired and think that alcohol's the answer, if you're feeling stressed, if you are exhausted, or you've got a headache, you know, whatever it is, just say to yourself, what's the most loving thing I can do for myself right now? Because alcohol will never be the answer to that question. And actually starting to think about being compassionate towards yourself is a good human, normal thing for us to do. It's just that many of us haven't grown up or been taught that that's a good way to live. It's very alien to us, but you can start now by being compassionate with yourself and letting alcohol go. Part of this course will be setting an intention each day and doing an end of day check-in. And I want you to set a realistic intention. Don't set an intention to stay sober today and go to the gym and have something healthy to eat. It's enough just to not drink. It's more than enough just to not drink. So set something realistic, and in your worksheet there'll be a question there for to set your intention, which is, today I choose to be gentle with myself by what would be the most compassionate and kind thing to answer that the rest of that sentence with. Please understand, this is just a pause, it's not a lifetime decision. I'm sure if you've been around me for a while, you know very well that I would love this to be a lifetime decision for you, because sobriety for me is just the best decision, hands down, that I ever made for myself. But that doesn't mean that you have to think of it in that way if that's too hard for you just now. Because if anything feels hard today or at any time in the next 10 days, bring it back to the same question. MLT, what's the most loving thing I can think about myself right now? What's the most loving thing I can do right now? There will always be a correct and proper answer that is good for you, that is loving for you, and that will make you feel better. It might sound a little odd to say something like, it's time to create a safe, supportive mindset for the next 10 days. But I think sometimes when alcohol's been at play for a long time with you and you've developed a very deep relationship with it, being without it can feel like you've been untethered and that you know your feet are a bit loose and you don't know where to put yourself, and it can feel very destabilizing and uncomfortable. So what I want you to do is just to work on that mindset, so every time you hear the negative Nancy version of you, it's just tell it, say it out loud if you have to. I'm not listening. I'm not listening to you today. Today I'm being kind to myself. Today I am being loving towards myself, because that is the right thing for me to do. Your journal prompt for today is, what does kindness to myself look like today? Now, that can be an emotional level, it can be practical. It could be that ordering takeaway for the next couple of days is the kind act that you need to take for yourself, because that will just make things a little bit easier for you. But just give that some thought about how it can look practically. There's also an opportunity to think about a practical plan, which is, what do you want to do the moment that you feel wobbly? Do you know when that moment is? Give it some thought at the beginning of the day, so that it's an amazing human skill to be able to predict what might happen if we think forward. So you know that if 5 o'clock is your trigger point, what else could you do at 5 o'clock today just to make that moment a little bit kinder and lovelier for yourself? And what's your plan for that moment? And how do you do it with kindness? I know that you're probably feeling like, oh my God, Jules, stop dousing me in love, and it might seem a bit woo woo and a bit out there, but I promise you, I'm a great fan of Louise Hay, and the quote, I'm not sure these are the correct words, but she said, you've been criticizing yourself for years. How about trying to approve of yourself and see what happens? It's really easy to sit in a negative mindset, but you don't have to live there. You can change that. So be kind to yourself today. it will be much easier than you think, and it'll be a much easier way of letting go of alcohol. In your worksheet, there's also a moment to do an end of day check-in, which will ask you to think about the moment today that you've been most proud of yourself. And that will help you to start changing your mindset, to look for the positives and to look for the good. There's also an opportunity in there to write down the things that you're grateful for. I am a massive fan of gratitude. It is a complete life game changer. And I would strongly recommend that you get yourself a little notebook and call it your gratitude notebook, and just spend a couple of minutes every day writing down the things that you're grateful for. That is a massive game changer. The other thing that you have available to you is the guided visualization that's full of positive and strong and loving affirmations. I would recommend that you listen to that every day, just to make sure that you are doing everything you can to shift your mindset to something much kinder and much lovelier than perhaps you've been doing before now. Have a great day. Have a loving day, and I will see you tomorrow.